Wanted to bring up a point from David and Goliath. You know, it's looked at as a miraculous hero's story. And one point I think we overlook in David and Goliath that relates so much to how we approach work and how we approach leadership today is that David, it appears as this weak individual, right? He's not even picked to go into the army, yet his brothers are. He's the smallest or the runt of the family. And so he's chosen, or it's his role to stay in the field and look after the sheep. He's a shepherd. He, of course, gets asked by his father to bring something to his brothers that were confronted by Goliath. So both armies were there. Goliath was obviously on the opposing army. David goes to his brothers, drops off something that his dad gave him, and that's where he's presented with the opportunity to potentially fight Goliath. Now I'm gonna talk about why this is so relevant to society today. Right now, there's this interesting idea, necessary evil, but also has some validity to it. Is this need to share and show your value on social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, people you know, what you've accomplished, what you're capable of. And I get it. I see it. I feel it. It's kind of like, wow, I need to do this too, because if I don't, I won't get any opportunity. And the people that are actually sharing, hey, look at me, look what I can do, they'll get the opportunity. So I'm not saying we have to stop doing that. But at the same time, there's a huge movement and it's a common narrative of people looking for purpose and meaning and impact in what they do every day, not just work, but their entire life. That's what people are searching for. So now we've got people wanting to build this connection, impact, meaning in what they're doing. But then there's also this paradox where it seems almost like we have to then show off what we're doing to get more opportunity. So part of now my motive should be to also pad my resume, which dilutes a little bit of that 100% focus on the task, right? 100% focus on what my job is. From a heroic point of view, with everything I'm doing, make the world a better place. So if we look at the networking example, there's a huge push to build your network, right? Build your network, because that'll increase your chances of success. And I'm sure that's something we could argue and show that it's true. But that then takes away from the authenticity of deciding to engage with someone fully, to exchange values, to exchange meaning, to learn from each other and have an incredibly empowering conversation. Right? When part of our mind is saying, I need to have this conversation because it's going to be a means to an end somewhere, takes a little bit away from that authentic conversation you're having with another human being. Same can be said for work or volunteering, any type of task. Am I doing this fully because I want to be totally embedded in this? I want to give my best self because I want to improve the people that this is going to affect. So coming back to David and Goliath, when David's out in the field, he's protecting the sheep. And not just watching over them with a staff as we would picture a shepherd. He's out in the field using his slingshot, defending the sheep from lions and bears, animals much stronger than him, much more fierce than him. So he's out in the field training with full purpose, meaning, impact to take care of the sheep for his family. And that alone, he's fully engaged in that. It satiates his needs. He doesn't need to leave work and go tell everyone what he's done, because in that job, in that execution of keeping the sheep safe, that fulfills his need for purpose, his need for impact, his need for meaning in his life, because that's all he focused on. And he executes and he goes home and he goes back out the next day and does the same thing. So now David gets asked by his father, he needs you to bring something to your brothers. So he marches out to the battle. He approaches the battle and meets with his brothers, and they say, yeah, no one wants to fight Goliath. So there's this standstill of figuring out what's going to happen. What are we going to do with this giant that no one believes we can beat? And David steps up and says, I'll do it. No one knew he had skills. He didn't tell anyone he had these skills, but he knew. He knew what he was capable of. He didn't have to go out and show it off. And so there's this interesting point of the story where when you live every day with purpose and meaning and impact, when you're actually creating real value that is improving lives, no matter how you decide to do that, but it's improving someone's life, you don't have to say, hey, look what I can do, because in your actions and the way you're living and the way you're approaching your life, what's orienting your life is the desire to impact others and following up on that, which means you may have to be out in the field by yourself, no one watching. And so now David shows up, says, I can handle this. I can take on Goliath. And everyone's so surprised. And we see the story as this miraculous underdog story where David shouldn't have been able to beat Goliath, but he does. And in all versions of the story, it actually happens quite quickly. And what we forget is that he's been defending his family's assets for a long time. He has built up the skill. He has built up the courage to go to battle. But no one knew that. But again, when the time came where there was an opportunity for him to show his value, to show what he could do, to make the world a better place, to serve the people around him, he answered fully and gave that value to the world. The story does such a powerful job of showing that, you know what, it may seem like it's a necessary evil and we have to be telling people what we're good at, what we can do. Or like David, do you just live in a way that your sole purpose is to create value for others? Your sole purpose is to serve others in such a positive, empowering way that whether you share it or not, whether you tap someone on the shoulder and tell them what you can do or not, they're going to find out either way. He's proud of himself. Don't get me wrong. You have to be damn proud to be able to step up in front of a challenge and adversity as beating a giant. When the time came to serve the people around him, to make the world a better place, he was ready and he acted. And that's when people found out who David was, what he was worth, and what he was capable of.